Hey guys, just wrapping up my day here in Heber City, Utah. Wasn't going to do a video, but big news. Daniel Penny has been acquitted. Now, Daniel Penny was a gentleman, a responsible citizen, a good Samaritan that was on a New York City train where, unfortunately, given the circumstances of multiple institutions failing both the people in the subway and the proposed victim in this case, Jordan Neely gets on a train. He threatens people's lives. Daniel Penny decides to protect those people. And unfortunately, Jordan Neely passes away. Now, if you were to ask organizations like BLM, they would say it was racially motivated and he murdered him, which there's no evidence whatsoever of. And if you ask the prosecution, it's a radical that took the law in his own hands. Or it was just a former U.S. Marine veteran who felt it was his responsibility to protect people in the absence of police officers protecting those people. Eric Adams himself said that what Daniel Penny did was because of the failed policies, including defunding the police. So you got a radical government enacting radical policy and putting responsible good Samaritans in situations like this, where the radical prosecution's office not only charges Daniel Penny, but tries to play trickery, like a shell game, in order to manipulate the jury, which I'll get into. So the original charge was manslaughter. And he faced with the broader charge of manslaughter and criminal negligent homicide, he faced up to 17 years in prison. Now, what they did, which according to legal analysts is unprecedented, what they did was they charged him with the bigger crime, manslaughter, and in the middle of jury deliberation, where they went to the judge and said they can't come to a conclusion, meaning it was going to be a potential hung jury. It wasn't a hung jury. It was potentially going to become a hung jury. The prosecutor dismissed the broader, bigger charge of manslaughter. And you would likely ask yourself, like I did when looking at the situation, like, why would that be a shell game, a trickery, unethical? Well, because if you're a prosecutor and you want to get a charge for any reason, you just charge the bigger charge, knowing that you got a contingency backup charge that is potentially going to be leveraged to deliberate on and not plead against. It's not that Daniel Penny's lawyer said, we want a plea, and the plea is a lesser charge, which is criminal negligent homicide. The prosecutor, in the middle of jury deliberation, canceled, removed, dismissed manslaughter, which left the jury to forcefully deliberate over the lesser charge, which is like, hey, we know we don't have a case for the bigger charge. We don't know that definitively. We hear that there might be some issues. We're going to dismiss it altogether so we can hope to get the lower charge, the lesser charge, which obviously is an incentivizing tactic to charge people with egregious crimes knowing they can have a backup. Again, not a plea. They're playing to a lesser charge, but having two simultaneous. One big, one small. The big's wiped away. Well, guess what? It's just criminal negligent homicide. I mean, it's not a big deal given the litany of circumstances. It's like it's the biggest deal. Because in personal defense, self-defense, and the idea of having good Samaritans that protect other people, this is the same exact culture and toxicity that has made law enforcement officers hesitant to do their specific job via their roles and responsibilities, their duties to serve and protect. Because if you're serving and protecting, but you have radical DAs that are willing to put good officers behind bars forever because of them doing their job, well, that's an issue. Then you get hesitation. Then you get people not even wanting to do the job. And then you get the bottom of the barrel. So in the situation of my friend Ben Darby, he followed the letter of the law every script of the narrative that was taught to him in the patrol academy, winding up shooting a suspect who had a fake gun, but he presumed that it was real, and then winding up using self-defense to protect him and the officers in the room. And you had a radical DA who actually was conservative that charged him with murder. He sat in prison for a long time before they threw out the charge, which is a miracle. It's just a lot of hard work by a lot of good people, including nonprofits that went to bat. But what about the people who aren't going to bat? So Daniel Penny, the two good things is, one, it wasn't tried in a vacuum. Like, there are many people that are Daniel Pennies that are tried every day we don't hear about. They politicized it because they wanted the political victory, and they lost because it was completely thrown out. Now, BLM, obviously, given the fact that they bought a whole bunch of mansions and used the money that was donated to help black people, they used on a lot of clothing, travel, cars, and mansions. Anyways, I digress. BLM had a lot of beef with it because they thought it was a racial issue. Of course they do. Because how are they going to get paid as a nonprofit if they're not radically claiming that it was injustice? No justice, no peace. Oh, yeah. I forgot. Like, you're the whole organization with Antifa that burned down, according to the mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, and Killer, was it Big Mike or Killer Mike? I don't know. I don't follow rap. But the rapper, Mike, saying, what are you guys doing? You're burning down the businesses in Atlanta, Georgia, where half the businesses are owned by African Americans. So, and why aren't they rioting and burning down the establishment when there's black on black inner city crime? I don't know. I'm not black. Apparently, I'm just a white nationalist. So when I see that and they're reinvigorating the protest, turning now violent potentially. I mean, now they said they're going to, again, no justice, no peace. What does that mean? Well, it means they're going to potentially burn some stuff down. And when you see that, you're like, oh, so we're back to the race thing again. We're back to dividing the country over race. Okay. Despite a black man helping Daniel Penny restrain Jordan Neely. Anyways, I don't want to go down these rabbit holes, but a very good victory for law-abiding citizens who are protecting law-abiding citizens from non-law-abiding citizens that are under the influence of multiple drugs via the toxicology report and threaten verbatim, I'm going to kill you, is what he said. I'm going to kill you, is what he said. Lastly, this United Health CEO that was murdered. Man, let me just take a step back. Did you guys read the comments on social media from all the things that were said about this particular situation? There are a lot of people, including myself, that have been abused by not just UnitedHealthCare, but healthcare countrywide via being denied insurance because of a pre-existing condition or because of stipulations written in Braille underneath the main writing. These things are super problematic, which is why the people no longer trust the institutions, especially institutions that are profiting trillions. In the last quarter, billions. I mean, this CEO just got a $15 million kickback bonus for what? Like, what's the profiteering model off of insurance, making money off the backs of unhealthy Americans? Well, one, make America healthy again. That's number one. So, like, take care of yourself. But two, a completely and utterly broken system, which is exemplified, that status is exemplified through the comment threads across both sides of the aisle, because it's not a political issue, that have been completely scammed by the insurance system, especially UnitedHealthCare, which go ahead and look up UnitedHealthCare corruption. There's a ton of it. So this guy whacks this CEO, and I'm not saying this is right. It's one, illegal, and pretty unprecedented because that doesn't happen on New York City streets all the time. I mean, it does happen all the time. It's just this got massive amounts of attention. And you have to sit back and ask yourself, why did it get so much attention? Why isn't the everyday person, African Americans in the inner city, getting any attention and getting whacked on the side of the city streets? Because nobody cares. They care about a very wealthy person running a very wealthy company, taking advantage of Americans. And that's the story of the day. What I don't agree with is all the rallying of support behind the company and behind that role, because it's corrupt, it's broken. What I also don't agree with is promoting that it's okay to just go around and schwack people. But again, not my argument, not my opinion, the mass opinion of the majority of people, which tells you the pulse on America of what people are willing to put up with. Ultimately, all I wanted to say was that dude got rolled up. Because despite everybody saying he was the expert assassin, he wasn't. What is that movie? I think it's called Assassin with Sylvester Stallone. He had that Ruger Mark II. It was so dope. That's integrated suppressed pistol. I've actually had that in the arms room before. Never used it in combat, but it's like that pistol was the pistol. This dude just rolled up that way and everybody saw it and was like, oh my God, this dude's an expert. Well, he shot the dude in the calf the first round. He left his backpack, a drop phone, a plastic water bottle, stayed in a hostel under a fake ID, got photographed, and they likely knew his name, had his DNA and his fingerprints within the first 24 hours. What is it, first 48, that crime show? Yeah, in the first 24, so half of the 48, and half the time they likely had all those things, including his name. Turns out he's a UPenn grad, so he's got a higher level of education, and he went to a really expensive private school. Supposedly, he read this book about the broken healthcare system that had 3 words. If you know, leave in the comments. I technically don't know the name of the book, but I'm interested in reading it because I want to know what it said. But everybody's pointing the finger to suppressed pistols because they're the problem. You know, like suppressed pistols plan deliberate assassinations on CEOs and inside of their, inside of their stop boxes, wherever you keep suppressed pistols. So people were blaming the book for radicalizing him, and people are blaming the healthcare system. How about it's just a dude that literally needs to take the blame and is likely going to spend the rest of his life in prison because of it? What I am interested in, and if anybody hears about it, leave it in the comments, is his motive. I wanted to know because immediately when I saw that dude who's been equated to Robin Hood, and again, I'm impartial to this, I don't really have an opinion on it. I think murder in any situation is wrong when it's murder. Assassination and going after bad guys, seemingly you could, find the moral high road. But it's like, what or why did he do that? Was his mom denied a healthcare claim and she passed away? Was somebody in his family denied insurance because of a pre-existing condition? Did he himself go through something? That's what I want to know. Because I want to know if he's reading a book and he's feeling more radical because he's getting pumped up and then he does something crazy, or if he's literally been impacted or affected personally and he just said enough is enough. Because seemingly, why would a young man go through all the work of spending weeks casing, showing up, waiting, to do all of that to get rolled up and get caught, which tells me he's an amateur. But also, why would he do it in the first place? I'm interested in that. I want to know you guys' opinion. What do you think? And look, I see all the comments and I see it, and I can understand a lot of the sentiment. But I also think it's like, dude, that dude had a family. He had kids. But he was also the CEO of the most corrupt institution, besides the government, one of the most corrupt institutions in the country. Yeah. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. I just wanted to give you guys that updates because I didn't want to go to bed without having that blown out there. Big win because Daniel Penny is getting acquitted, and that's a good win for good Samaritans and responsible citizens. I'll see you guys in Las Vegas this weekend, Pro Gun Club. I'll be there Saturday teaching carbine with Greg Lappin, Devin from Method Endeavors, and Mason, Gun Fu Fighter, full-time Maricopa SWAT guy. It's good to reconnect. Oh, look at that. Reconnected with Carlos Whitaker. We just did a book review on, or a book club review on. I want to say thank you. Appreciate all the support. Until next time. Peace out, guys.